Thanks for tuning in to Electric Bike Journal. Let's talk about suspension. No, I'm not talking about that front fork or rear shock. This bike doesn't even have that. What I'm talking about is the seat post and a stem from Redshift, part of the Shockstop system. Two different solutions that when they work together can add that dampening and suspension feel that you're looking for on those gravel roads or around town. So what is the Shockstop system, stem, and seat post? In short, it's a short travel suspension system. Well, how do the seat post and the stem work together and separately to offer you a more comfortable ride when you're out on that rougher terrain? Well, starting with the seat post. The seat post is a suspension seat post with 35 millimeters of travel. There is a spring located inside of it that has a adjustable bolt on the bottom, and by tightening that bolt up, putting more tension on that spring, you effectively make for more resistance in getting through that travel. The looser that spring, the easier it is to push through. Perfect for lighter weight riders. With that seat being adjustable so easily, if you ride normally without a pack on and then happen to throw a backpack on for a different type of ride, you can simply pull the seat out, readjust that bolt to create more tension for the extra weight and get that calibrated to feel the same as it did without having that pack on. So like I said, that seat post offers that 35 millimeters of travel, and you're able to put tension on that spring to calibrate it for your rider weight to really offer you a cloud-like feel when you're riding. In our experience, riding on this, charging downhill, even going up bigger climbs or cruising on the flatter terrain, it really does offer a very boat-like feel. And you are bobbing a little bit, and if the spring is overly tight, it will kick you back up. Equally, if the spring isn't tight enough, you'll kind of drop through it faster. So it does take a little bit to dial in perfect, but once it is set up for you, the comfort that the seat post offers is different from other suspension style seat posts. It's a better leverage ratio, and I kind of found it best to be having the feeling of almost halfway in between. So that way you have room to float as you're riding, and that just felt really comfortable and made it to where I could go out and ride longer, or in those same longer rides getting back, I didn't have the same kind of like stiffness and soreness that I would have normally have had on the same bike, everything else the same. Now moving on to the stem. As I mentioned earlier, they come in all sorts of different lengths and angles, so you can really fine tune it or match exactly the same style stem that you have. The stem itself works off of a single pivot, and that pivot allows the stem to go up and down. In order to limit that motion and make a very rigid platform, so there isn't bobbing and any uncontrolled motion with that stem, there are elastomer pucks. Elastomer is a type of polymer, and those pucks go inside of the stem and have different ratings to them, and they're all numbered, so when it shows up to you, you choose the right sequence of pucks to match your rider weight, put those in there, and you tighten those down with a wedge. That makes the stem look very rigid and feel rigid, but when you do put that flex on there, you will feel that elastomer kind of compress. That elastomer is meant to absorb that vibration. When you're riding, all that energy and that force from the chatter on the terrain is coming up through, going through that stem and out to the handlebars, and then boom, hitting your hands. That is where the fatigue is coming from in the front end of your bike and going to your hands. Now, if you have ridden aluminum and carbon handlebars, you know that they offer different feels of stiffness. If the stem is also a point of stiffness, then your handlebars really are the last point of contact before your hands to dampen any of that vibration. Now, grips or different types of bar wrap are ways to manage some of that feel, but ultimately the material, the handlebars, will cause an impact for all the vibration and stiffness that you will get while riding. The stem with those elastomer pucks inside of it and that single pivot becomes an extra point of contact between the bike and your hands, allowing that vibration to be dampened before it even goes out to the handlebars, making contact with you. Having played around with the lighter weight rated pucks and the stiffer ones, you can feel a difference between the different densities of that elastomer and how smooth it is on the road. For myself, when I went to those lighter rated Elastomer pucks to see how it felt, I did notice a lot more motion and movement in the handlebars, and that's not what you want. That uncontrolled movement could set you up for failure and put you in a bad position. And by choosing the right elastomer for you and having the stem tightened down to their instructions, you are able to get it fine-tuned for your rider weight and allow this stem to flex and move and dampen that vibration for your weight. By adjusting those pads or getting outside of their instructions, you're going to allow this stem to move more than it's designed to. And with some other suspension style stems, you didn't have control to really fine tune that and get that dialed for your weight. So it was a broader window of control and it allowed for a lot of motion and movement. All in all, the seat post and the stem are two really great solutions to add some dampening and suspension to your bike without making a massive investment. That being said, the seat post for $229 and the stem for $169, they are a little bit pricier, and combined would be about an entry-level fork on a higher quality side entry-level fork. But not every bike can accommodate that, or maybe you don't want to have that look on your bike or the additional weight. The seat post and the stem don't add much more weight to your bike, and they can fit universally on many different bikes, whereas choosing the right fork might be specific to one bike and not be able to move on with you in the future. This being a gravel bike, the seat post and the stem were the right solution for this platform. Although there are front suspension forks available for this bike, it wasn't the direction I wanted to go, and I really didn't want that extra weight on the front of the bike. By going with the Shockstop system, it was able to offer the comfort and feel to this bike that I was looking for, to be able to go out and ride further and longer and be less sore at the end from how just aggressive and sharp this bike had felt. Now, having ridden the stem and the seat post on some of our aluminum frame, rigid, stiff urban commuter bikes, they were already set up for my rider weight, and I just simply had to switch them over. This became a great solution to make those bikes more comfortable for crossing railroad tracks, hitting potholes. You know, there are pretty rough roads coming in and out of neighborhoods into downtown, and it just made those bikes feel more comfortable and more encouraging and more exciting to ride further and longer throughout the day. Would we be interested in putting the Shockstop system onto our own personal bikes? And I think absolutely. The stem and seat post are a great combination working together to make a more comfortable ride for a gravel bike. For an urban commuter e-bike, the stem isn't something that works with every bike available on the market. With other changes to your handlebar setup, you could likely see this work on pretty much any bike, but some electric bikes, just the way that the controller is or what handlebars are, it would be a little bit more of an investment. The seat post, however, with a simple adapter, you are able to fit it into a wide range of frames, and it immediately offers a very noticeable and visual difference to your bike and how that bike feels. And the seat post likely would be something that we will continue to pass around to other bikes that we test and review. All in all, Redshift makes a very quality product, has very clean, nice looks. On the back of the seat post, they went as far as doing a magnetic mud flap that can go on there to help keep debris out of that suspension system. And the stem is very clean and simple looking. If you weren't really paying attention, you wouldn't be able to tell that it had any sort of pivot in there. Thanks again to Redshift for getting these out to us. It has been really nice to swap these components around and try them on different bikes that have different levels of stiffness and ride them in different terrains. They have both performed exactly how they should and changed the feel of those bikes to make them much more comfortable for riding around. If you're looking for a solution and not wanting to swap over to a full suspension front fork, or you already have a front fork and it's just not quite cutting it for you, looking into the seat post and looking into the stem would be something we would encourage you to do. And with a really good warranty, you're going to be supported in being able to try these out to make sure that they are the best solution for you. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the next one.